Hi there, everyone. This is Jed Shlackman. I'm a spiritual energy healer and holistic counselor. And in this video, I want to speak about how we can kind of take off our blinders in life. So we're here in the year 2020, and it's in October now, the eve of Halloween, which traditionally is looked at as the time of year where the veil is thinnest, where you can connect with the realm of the dead, with the afterlife, with that occult layer of reality. And that has to do with the movement of the sun. So we have the different seasons and the progression of the sun from the winter solstice to the summer solstice, passing through the equinoxes, the balance points. And Halloween comes around the time of the year that's about halfway between the fall or autumn equinox and the winter solstice here in the northern hemisphere. So if we think about it, we usually have our awareness focused here on the physical layer of reality. We're seeing this narrow band of frequencies that can be perceived with our five senses, and that's what we focus on and accept or embrace as reality, so to speak. So that's the reality that we usually think about and that we've drawn our conclusions about, in a sense. So we have our ideas about things in life based upon what we're perceiving with our five senses and what's being presented to us from other sources, other people, other groups here in this physical plane. However, there are spiritual dimensions to reality which in a sense precede and in a way predominate over the physical realm. So the spiritual planes are actually the foundation of physical reality. The energy that creates this physical dimension originates from non-physical dimensions. We're just not perceiving it since we're immersed here in this physical body having this type of experience. But those other spectra, those other scales of frequencies, you could call them, it's kind of like in music where you have the musical notes in an octave, so we might call them octaves of frequencies or dimensions. So we're only focused here usually on this one octave, but there are many other octaves beyond that. So if we consider that, we can realize that there's so much to reality that we're not seeing, that what we think is true, what we think is our reality, is actually quite limited. And if we took the blinders off, so to speak, toward those other layers, those other octaves of frequencies and reality, we might have a much different understanding of things. We can also apply that to anything that we're looking at in the world around us, anything that we're considering or analyzing. We usually can perceive only a small slice of data, very limited information, which is filtered through our existing beliefs, our existing biases or prejudices. So we tend to have a confirmation bias where we perceive things in a way that will somehow reinforce what we already think or believe, and we'll tend to filter out those things, those pieces of information that would contrast or contradict what we currently think or believe. And of course, everyone else out there is doing the same thing to some extent. And so it all kind of reinforces itself. We're all on a regular, constant basis, keeping those blinders on, maintaining a relatively narrow, limited view of reality. Now, this year of 2020 is one where a lot of things are being shaken up or disturbed, where people's normal, ordinary routines are being upset, where there's actually a lot more conflict appearing in the world in some sense, a lot more controversy, a lot more discussion of things that are hidden, of conspiracies, and so on. So more and more of this is coming to the surface, more and more information and ideas that may in some way upset or contradict how you currently perceive or understand things. You can look at this as an opportunity, a chance to take off the blinders that you've had on, and that could relate to any area of your life or to the world around you. So we may have blinders on about things of a historical or scientific nature, things of a political nature, things related to health and medicine, things about our own habits, our own lifestyle, our own way of interacting with other people. So we tend not to perceive the different imbalances or distortions within our own personality, our own way of life. We may be able in some cases to perceive them relatively well in terms of other people, so it's easier to perceive other people's distortions or dysfunctions, but more difficult to perceive your own, since it's more challenging to reflect on yourself, to see yourself clearly, and also since it's also kind of hard to admit or acknowledge at times when you do have some fault or weakness, or where you have made some unwise choices or done things that are hurtful or harmful. So it's natural to block our own awareness from some of those things, since we're trying to protect our ego, our sense of self. And that sense of self in some ways is ultimately an illusion. We're all really just different facets, different fragments, different expressions originating from the original source consciousness that is always there. We're never truly separate from it. We're always a part of that unlimited field of awareness. So we may go around comparing ourselves to others, thinking that we're in some way better than or worse than others, greater than or less than, that we're more desired or more appreciated by the Creator than others. So all of those judgments are really distortions. They don't really correspond with how the creative source would actually perceive all the different extensions or expressions of itself. I hope that this kind of puts things in perspective for many of you. And since I mentioned the idea of taking off blinders, I would encourage you to consider what are some of the things that you think or believe about yourself, about other people, about science, about history, about global affairs, about whatever you're observing outside of yourself, and consider that there may be much more that you're not aware of than what you are aware of, and that could actually facilitate having a different perception or perspective upon things. So to have humility, to realize that our vision is never that clear. None of us truly have 20/20 vision per se in a broader sense. Our physical sight may be relatively clear, but our ability to perceive all of reality and to have a more holistic understanding of any phenomenon is actually quite limited. It's as though there's a rainbow out there and we're only able to see the color red. We can't see the rest of the rainbow. We can't appreciate it, and we can't understand how what we're looking at in the red spectrum fits into the totality of that spectrum or octave of creation. I appreciate each of you for taking your time to view this particular video. For those that are interested in spirituality and holistic health and personal growth, I invite you to view other videos I've done on these subjects. And you can also visit my website, which is phinsights.com. That's phinsights.com. For now, I'd like to wish each of you a wonderful day. Namaste.